you're watching the Now Morning Show right here on TTT. Now we are going to continue our talks on the budget, and we're going to get Tobago's take on the Budget Spotlight 2021. This morning, our guest would be Joel Jack, who is the Deputy Chief Secretary of and the Secretary of Finance and the Economy. Good morning.
Hi, good morning, sir. How are you?
Doing quite well. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you for having me. My pleasure to be on.
Now, in
And let
light
me say
of
good morning to all of Tobago, all of Trinidad and Tobago.
yes,
And I
lovely.
trust you're staying safe, Gary.
Yes, I am indeed. I am indeed. So, again, thank you for joining us this morning. So, we're going to jump into the talk about the upcoming budget 2021. Now, everyone expects it to be an austerity budget, but we'd like to get Tobago's take on it. So, when it comes to the budget, what is one of the key things that when it comes to your expectation that you would like to see in the budget?
Well, I would want to compliment the Minister of Finance and in terms of his relationship, our relationship, and in terms of our policy and our initiatives moving forward to advance the island's development and for Tobago to play a meaningful role in national economic development and national economic diversification. Since 2016, at the start of the 2016 financial year, upon coming into office and emanating from our first meeting, the Minister of Finance has allocated to Tobago and the Tobago House of Assembly over the bare 4.03 minimum of base that is stipulated by the DRC, and we have received 4.4% of the national allocation. And additionally, the Minister of Finance has given support to the Tobago House of Assembly to borrow or to access funding on the open market outside of our direct subvention. And what that means, for the first time in the history of the Assembly will be raising funding of approximately $300 million in the first instance via a bond on the local capital market to accelerate the pace of the island's development and to undertake a suite of public sector investment programs that will expand the island's infrastructure. It will also assist in our investment in ICT, and as we prepare the island for the future and to deploy ICT, and as well to assist in the expansion of our housing stock and our health infrastructure and other social infrastructure.
Now, when it comes to other things that would be of concern and interest, especially during these times where we do have to be a little more self-reliant, and a lot of people are speaking about bringing down the import bill and focus rather on exports. What is your take for the budget on, and what would you like to see in regards to agriculture when it comes to the budget for Tobago?
Agriculture is another area of focus of this administration, and I know the central government and the PNM-led administration by the Honorable Dr. Keith Christopher Rowley. In the Tobago context, we have outlined a number of initiatives that are geared towards expanding the agricultural sector and increasing agricultural output on the island, and as well to promote food security. In the first instance, we'll continue to invest on our agricultural access roads program to open up landlocked areas and assist farmers in getting their produce from the farm gate to the consumer or the middleman faster. Additionally, we will work with agro-processors to provide the necessary facility and to expand on the facilities and infrastructure that we have already established at Cove, at Goldsboro, at Louisville, so that we can move away from primary production and that farmers can exploit the value chain to earn more money, and so that we can have an increase in number of products coming out of Tobago with that produced in Tobago label. Additionally, a major project that we have on the books will be the Goldsboro Irrigation Project. And the Goldsboro Irrigation area is one of our largest farming area and farming belts. And what we will achieve with that program is to have year-round farming and to treat the irrigation issue. Additionally, the Executive Council would have approved a suite of projects and programs to assist farmers agro-processors, and persons in the agricultural sector during the COVID-19 pandemic. And we provided a suite of incentives to encourage farmers to expand their production during this time, and as well to ensure that Tobago has adequate food supplies on the island. And the farmers readily responded. And what the chief secretary has done as well, he continues to liaise with the farming community and is visiting farms on a weekly basis to assist farmers throughout the island. So I think overall the agricultural sector is poised for growth in Tobago. We have seen an increase in the agriculture's contribution to the island's GDP year on year between 2018 and 2019. And we anticipate that increase will continue even during this COVID-19 pandemic, where we have seen a number of persons who are returning to agriculture, and farmers are also encouraged to increase their production. Additionally, we'll be providing additional livestock support to farmers by the expansion in the breeding unit in the agriculture department. So overall, we should see an increase in agriculture's contribution to the island's GDP, somewhere over 5% over the next 3 to 5 years.
Now, when it comes to, so a lot is being done for agriculture there, and one thing that the island is heavily dependent on is tourism. Considering the current climate and the environment that we're in with regards to tourism, what do you believe can be done via this budget to help bolster the tourism industry in Tobago, for the coming fiscal year?
Well, our request to the Minister of Finance in this year's budget, we articulated the need for continued investment to see the reinvigoration of the island's tourism sector. The tourism sector is an important and a key driver of economic activity on the island. Although it is third, what we have seen over the years is that it's it employs a number of persons on the island, and it was directly impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic. Just to give some estimates, we anticipate a 15% reduction in GDP year on year over 2019-2020. And one of the key sectors that will be impacted will be the tourism sector. Currently, a number of properties, they have either followed their employees or they have closed partially or entirely. And what we have done with the support of central government is to provide a direct intervention of $50 million to assist the sector in retooling and preparing for the restart of the international tourists, and first and foremost looking directly at our domestic tourism sector. We place a premium on internal tourism, and that will assist us while the borders are closed. And prior to the recent lockdown measures implemented by the Prime Minister, most of the properties on the island saw an increase in the hotel occupancy rates upwards of 75%. So we anticipate that in the short term, we will focus primarily on the domestic tourism sector. And as well, we're hoping that with the opening up of the CARICOM bubble, that Tobago will be given priority, and that our target as well will be some of the regional areas such as Guyana and Barbados and Grenada that are close to us, and that we will be also marketing heavily to these areas. And while, as I mentioned previously, we'll focus as well on our domestic tourism.
Do you anticipate rather that there would be a shift in priority from budget allocation in tourism to that of agriculture?
Well, what we have outlined as our strategy through a medium-term planning framework is that the focus in accelerating economic expansion on the island will be the tourism sector, and we would foster and forge the necessary linkages. So the increase in the tourism sector, increase in arrivals, and our investment and expenditure in the tourism sector would see an increase in visitors coming to the island. And these visitors will need they will need, of course, the outputs from the agricultural sector. So it's all tied and integrated, and we are ensuring that we forge the linkages and that we have greater predictability with respect to the farmers and the hoteliers by the introduction of technology, so that farmers are aware in terms of what the hotels and hoteliers require, and we treat with the seasonality of certain outputs, and so that the hoteliers can be assured that they can, as a first instance, look to the Tobago farmers um, in terms of supplying their produce. And that is something that we're working with the Agricultural Society and the farmers to ensure, and so that, you know, we have the necessary linkages between both sectors.
All right. Well, with that, I want to thank you for joining us this morning and giving us this information. And we will chat again with you after the budget, so we can find out, what had transpired and what is the plan moving forward. Considering the figures that we will see coming on October 5th. I want to thank you so much, Joel Jack, Deputy Chief Secretary.
Thank you, Carrie. Thank you for having me.
And thank you for being here. All right, with that, we are going to take a short break and come back. We have so much more in our program, so stay right where you are. We will be right back.